Hola a todos, bienvenidos a entrevista con Ruth Darby today here on the Daily Language Learning Channel. Thank you, muchas gracias for coming. Uh, Good morning to you. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenos dias, no matter where you're at in the world. We're just so glad that everybody is here. So again, bienvenidos a todos with here we go. Bienvenidos a todos. A very interesting interview today with something that you've probably never heard of before, and that is code switching. You've heard of comprehensible input, you've heard of deliberate practice, but have you heard of code switching? If you have, I promise you, you are among the very, very few people who have actually heard of code switching. So today, without any further ado, I want to introduce our guest, who is Ruth Darby from Inglaterra. Hola, Ruth.
Hola, Dan.
Hola. I'm so glad that you could be here today, and I'm glad that you're also watching the chat. We're going to be keeping our eyes on the chat for folks, and just so everybody will understand, as we ask questions, if your questions in the chat are dealing with the questions that we are dealing with as we're talking, we want to bring those questions in, but we're also going to have a separate time where we deal specifically with your questions. So if you are one of Ruth's students, please feel free to jump in and say hello to her. If you have not listened to Ruth's videos on YouTube, I promise you, by the end of today's interview, you're going to want to go over to her channel, Spanglish Fantastico, and you're going to want to watch every one of her videos. And there are a lot of them to watch. But Ruth, thank you so much for coming today. And
es un privilegio. Gracias, Dan, por invitarme.
muchas gracias. Muy bien. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start by letting me ask you, what do you do besides YouTube? Outside of YouTube, who is Ruth Darby? What does she do for a career? You don't have to tell us where and stuff like that, but give us an idea. What does she do as a career?
Well, I teach Spanish privately, and I work in a state school in Inglaterra, where I'm a teaching assistant. I teach some Espanol to small groups, and I support in classes de matemáticas, ciencias, sometimes in English. So that's my day job, and then I also help out in the school garden. So that's another nice thing that I like doing, getting into la naturaleza, which is un placer for me.
And in doing that at the school, what age groups are you dealing with at your school?
All right, so we're a high school, so the age group goes from now it's changed. It was 13 and now it's 11 until 18. The nature of my work is that I tend to just work up until the age of 16. So it's 11 to 16-year-olds. And the people that I'm going to be teaching Espanol next year, well, I teach Espanol to the year groups of age 11 until age 14. Next year it's going to be 13, 14-year-olds who I'm working with to estudiar un poco de Español. So it's really good fun. I really like it.
Oh, it must be really challenging. And yourself, how long have you been speaking Spanish? When did you first start studying Spanish yourself?
Well, I went to a Spanish class in London in 1998 because I had got onto a course to teach English as a foreign language in Barcelona. So I went and did a Spanish, un curso de español in that class. And I've been studying Espanol ever since, so that's 22 years. I went to Peru in 2001, 2001. Okay. And I stayed there on and off for 3 years, 3 años. And then and there I really learned how to hablar español. I really got some fluency. I don't know about accuracy, but I got fluency.
And how long did you stay in Peru?
3 years.
3 years. And where in Peru did you go?
Well, I was living in Lima, but I had a wonderful job teaching English that involved working por la mañana, a couple of hours, and then por la tarde, a couple of hours, so I had the daytime free. And it was Monday to Friday. So then weekends, I could go to travel, go to Cusco, go to lots of different places around the beautiful, beautiful country.
And so talk to me about the Peruvian accent for a moment, because when I first started studying Spanish, I wanted to find, which country had the most neutral Spanish accent among all the 20, 25 Spanish-speaking countries. And the one that I found that said it had the most neutral speaking accents was Peru and Colombia. And I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
I think, because I know you've mentioned mencionado Colombia before, and I think that the sound of español in Peru y en Colombia, para mí, for my ears, it's pretty similar. And I think it's really clear. One of the things that the Latin American Spanish doesn't do, they don't do the lisp. So I started to speak Espanol in Barcelona, where there was quite a bit of lisping, and you kind of get tired, to be honest, with all the so it's quite a relief to go to Peru and have that lovely, clear, clean accent that I think you get in Peru, in Ecuador, in Colombia. And the CI and the CE and the Z sound are pronounced S, which is fine for me because I'm an English speaker and we do S. So.
Well, Phil Hodgkin just mentioned that he was planning on taking a trip to Peru, but COVID, like so many other things, so many other people, has changed our plans, changed his plan for that. And my primary doctor he's from Peru, my primary doctor. So I know that they have some amazing medical facilities there. But if someone was going to visit Peru, where would you recommend, based on your 3 years of experience, what would you recommend for like a 2-week visit to Peru? Where would you think people should go, things that they shouldn't miss?
Okay, well, I absolutely love Oxapampa, which is up in the highlands. So I'm gonna talk about the things that perhaps people won't know about, like Oxapampa in the highlands, and I went there on the Day of the Dead. They've got great, they've got a sort of factory for making liquor, for making agua ardiente, I think they call it, burning water, firewater. But it looks like one of those complex machines that Caracas Pot's made in Chicky Bang Bang with all the levers and cogs. So you can see them put the sugar canes through these cogs, and the thing jump out, and then it goes through lots of copper pipes, and it goes through the still, and at the end they're pouring out this liquor into your empty Coke bottle. So beautiful food, and there was this big celebration there of 7 farmers, and they have a sort of farming competition. I would recommend Oxapampa. Parma as well. Parma, I went at Easter time, and they make beautiful carpets in the streets out of flower petals, and they do it at night. So if you go to sleep for a little bit and then get up really early in the morning, perhaps 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and you see these works of art through the streets made out of flower petals.
Oh, on the streets themselves.
On the streets themselves. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. I need to see a picture of that. If anybody has a picture of something like that, I'd like to see that. The main thing that actually pushed me away from going to visit Peru was so many of the places are higher elevation, and like Cusco and places like that. And matter of fact, I had to kind of get myself set up here. But Ruth, I've got a surprise for you. Okay, I'm gonna tell you about something. There's a lot of people that follow your channel that you've never met personally. You know, that's the nature of YouTube, where you actually don't get to
It's
meet
actually
sometimes.
one of the best things that I've actually made some good friends over this period of isolation. I've made some friends like yourself and some of the students that have commented positively on my videos and written to me as well in Inglés y en español. It's been really, really nice.
Well, I'm a scoundrel. I've tracked one of them down, and I've asked her to join us today. And from España, we have Sarah Feliz with us today.
Oh, please. Oh,
And I want the two of you to get to know each other here, and 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 Sarah, I'm just gonna kind of turn it over to the both of you just for a moment, and
hola,
Sarah
Sarah.
and
Hola,
Ruth introduce each other.
hola from España. So lovely to actually see you and meet you.
Virtual hug.
Yeah, absolutely. Or an elbow tap. How are you?
Sarah, what a beautiful surprise. Gracias, Dan. Sarah, I don't know how you found my videos, but it's been lovely having all the comments that you put on them.
It was amazing. I tried so many different things. So I've been learning Spanish for a little while, more time than I would like to admit, because I haven't got as far as I would want to. But I tried and tested so many different ways. I tried different language apps. But I'm a bit of a linguist. I like to know why I'm saying certain words and where those words derive from, and that didn't help me with that. I had a one-to-one tutor who was great, but I got so nervous every time she spoke to me. She would speak in South American Spanish, Latino Spanish, and I am more familiar with Castilian Spanish. I've tried podcasts, I've tried textbooks, children's books, and then YouTube, and I found Spanish with Paul, loved it, A que hores, the learning tutor, and then, game changer, I found you during lockdown. Thank goodness for lockdown, because I found you. So yeah, Spanglish Fantastico just has really, really helped me. So I'm not so afraid now when I speak Spanish in Spain, which is quite regularly that I'm here. So it's okay for me to mix languages. I don't feel like I'm failing because I don't speak a whole sentence in Spanish, and I just put a little bit of English in here and there to help me along the way. But I'm getting by, and people are understanding me. I'm in a very Spanish community here, so it's good practice.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, in that case, I've done what I wanted to do, which is to provide a model for you that says it's okay to start speaking Espanol, to start speaking un poco de Espanol before you get, every single bit of it mastered. Just start with el poco that you already have. And it is, I think that thing about code switching is giving everybody permission to use all the linguistic funds that you have available to you, which is of course English as well. And so I'm really, really happy that it's helped you get the confidence. I think confidence is so important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if we were taught this way, the code switching way, which I hadn't really understood until recently, but if we were taught that way when we first learned languages in school, I think I would have loved languages back then, but I stayed away from languages.
So let me jump in, ladies, just for a second, and we're going to bring this right back in. Let me just jump in for a second, because this is the place where we need to interject from the expert, from you, Ruth. Give me and Sarah and everyone that's watching a concise definition, understandable definition of what code switching is, what it means, and some practical examples of how it's used.
Okay, well, code switching is used generally when you change registers or you change between languages, and that happens in bilingual communities. So you get Spanglish in the United States. But what I'm doing is using code switching very deliberately to use Espanol when I think students can understand the Spanish word, and using Inglés around that so that I can give a complete message, so that I can really communicate any idea I want to. So I'm choosing to use the strong cognates, things like información or comunicación. And I'm using those words in Spanish right from the start, because then students have an idea of, well, I've got these cognates. Oh, that's how I can use these cognates. Cognates being words that are really similar in both languages. And then, of course, when I've taught somebody any sentence, for example, ¿qué tal? How are you? And they know that ¿qué is how or what, then I want to be able to use that later on. But maybe they don't have the whole sentence that I want to use, so I can use just part of it. So if I say ¿qué hora es? Sarah was saying that she's learned ¿qué hora es? And she knows that ¿qué means what. So I want to use what, but I don't have the rest of the sentence. So I use the rest of the sentence en inglés. ¿Qué are you doing right now? I don't split up words like they do in Spanglish in the United States. So I'm not doing parquear or Google ya, changing English words into Spanish words. I'm not doing that.
So Spanglish does not mean what it would mean here in San Diego, California, where you are twisting up English words. My recent exposure to that this year was the word lonchar, and that was the word for lunch. But Sarah, recently you used this method. You and I were talking about this. Would you like to share this example of the episode about the garden and how you were able to communicate?
Yeah, so we're having the front garden, the front terrace renovated at the moment, and the builder and gardener, they don't speak any English at all. He says okay, he knows okay, which I think is probably universal. And I had to get over to him what I wanted in the garden. I mean, I'm hoping that it's come across accurately, otherwise I'm not going to get what I've asked for. But I've asked for tiles. I had to look up the word tiles, and that quiero is what I would like, or quisiera, I would like. And jardín, and little words coming through in our conversation. And then he used Google Translate, said what he wanted to say back to me. I read it. I thought, right, okay. Yes, I did. I got my point across, I think. I know what I want. I said arbol, aquí, so I want a tree here. I think it's really worked. But I've sort of learned that from your book as well, Ruth, your Spanglish Fantastico book. And I was a bit of a cheat. I'm terrible for reading the last chapter before I read anything else. That's the book. My husband tells me off for it all the time. I always have to look at the end before I read the beginning. And I noticed then I could see the progression. So I sort of flicked through the middle as well, thinking, so you can actually see progression all the way through. And I think I'm sort of in between beginner and intermediate. I'm at that sort of stage there. And I found that I can see the progress through the book, and that I don't realise that I'm reading Spanish sometimes. And then I sort of get really excited, and then I lose what I'm doing. But it's a really, really good method. I found it really good.
That you don't realise that you're reading Spanish, because in fact what all we're doing is communicating, and all the book is doing is a form of communication. And in fact, I lent my neighbour, a lovely neighbour of mine, I lent her this book, which is Spanglish Fantastico, Take Off with Spanish, which is one of the first ones that I did. And she had a read through, and she doesn't speak any Espanol, and she said, "Oh, I just read it. It didn't. I was reading Spanish, really."
That's exactly how I felt. I have a question. So my husband, he's learning a little bit of Spanish. He only started literally in the last few months, and he's good with, like, if you look at a picture, he can say un gato. He can speak some basic Spanish. But when you're speaking Spanglish, how can I speak Spanglish to him? I would use the cognates, but you know, in Spanish they have a different different word order in sentences. Would I change my English word order to match the Spanish? Or because I think I'm making it complicated. Complicado.
See, sometimes I think, well, I know that I've already taught this sentence, but I'm going to use it in English. I'm going to say I'm going to, because otherwise I'm going to have to change the word order too much. So I would say just use el español when it fits and when it feels comfortable.
Right.
And that way I think it becomes natural as well. And I think that, that's one of the key things. We are human and we speak. That's what we do.
In different codes.
Codes, exactly.
Yeah.
And bilingual children, they don't even think about it. So
yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm aiming for. We've got two ways of thinking. We've got the thinking with the prefrontal cortex, which is the most modern part of your brain, and that's the slow thinking. It's where we do our clever stuff. It's where we do maths. It's where we make intelligent, rational decisions. Absorbs it, that doesn't study grammatical rules, that doesn't think. When we're talking, we're just talking without thinking about how to form the words or even, exactly what's going to come out. It just happens, doesn't it?
I think I'm quite an impatient person with myself, in that I learn something and I want to do it now, and I want to be able to use it straight away. And actually, with the Spanglish, I can, because that's how I'm trying to think to myself as well. When I'm doing sort of housework or anything, I just think, oh, okay, limpiar, and then I'll start cleaning, and it's little bits here and there that I'm coming out with. And actually, I mean, I'm not so sure about the whole thinking in Spanish. I'm not really understanding what thinking in Spanish is, but I do sort of talk to myself a lot more now in Spanish, and with a little bit of English in there as well. So I then.
You understand the message. So it's not about studying the grammar rules. It's not about saying yo hablo, tú hablas, él habla, nosotros. It's not about that. Oh, no audio?
I'm working on it. Go ahead. I'm working on
it. Right. Where was I?
Where were you at with comprehensible input and
the idea with comprehensible input is that could you type this one easy? The idea with comprehensible input, I get help typing, is to understand the messages. Perfect. The idea with comprehensible input is
good to go. We're fine.
Hooray! Okay, right, one more time. The idea with comprehensible input is to understand the messages and to just absorb the language as a sort of byproduct of understanding the messages. Stephen Krashen is a famous polyglot, and his idea is that you either read and listen to enormous quantities in the target language before you start to speak. So this is where my code switching is a little bit different, because I'm trying to provide a model of a way that you can speak, a way that you can use your Espanol right from the start. Because I don't think that you can, I wouldn't go for starting perfect. I would go for starting where you are and moving forward from there. The code switching means that I can tell you anything with un poco de español in it. I can preach any subject, any theme, anything that you're interested in, whether it's how to deal with a car breaking down on the highway in España, or whether it is talking about your familia, which happens so many times in the very beginner courses. I can deal with any topic at all, because I can use Espanol when I think you can understand, and I can use Inglés to fill in the gaps. So you're going to be exposed to the Espanol that you need to be able to absorber las frases and words and the grammar without having explicitly studied it. I know that makes sense.
No, I think it makes great sense.
Yeah.
And I also think that
What I've noticed that you do on your YouTube sessions and in your book, you'll often either write or say something in Spanish with more cognates, but then you'll repeat it in English. And I love that, because I think, I guess what it said, if I'm reading it, I guess what it says first, and then I just check next to it. I mean, obviously not in every sentence, but here and there, and I think that's really helpful.
There's nothing wrong with a little bit of translation. It's okay.
Well, it stretches somebody as well, because it's not just the cognates. You're using other words that you've already used earlier on in the book, and then you're using them again. And because it's repetition, it's really good that you're then using it within a sentence. You're seeing how the word is forming in the sentence.
I know from my own experience that I need a lot of exposure to one word before I learn it. I lived in Polish. I was living in Polonia, and I was living with two Polish girls, and they asked me the word for the most important. They asked me for that word every day for a fortnight, maybe more, before I could tell them. And I knew they were going to ask me. It's najważniejsze. I know it now. But it took me at least, sort of 28 exposures to the word. So if I can use a word, then use it and translate it, then use it and translate it, and then by the end of the book, give you that word without translating it, then I've given the students the kind of exposure that I would need. So I just assume that if everybody is like me, then you're gonna need a lot of help.
Let me jump back in, because for just a moment we had a sound problem, and again, mea culpa. I am sorry about that. Lo siento. It's a growing learning process, and I beg you guys to please stick with me as I go through these learning processes, because I want to provide an entertaining yet informative interview with you. But I was saying about Ruth's book. I have two of her books. I have the joke book, and I also have Spanglish Fantastico. And I love, you can see, as Sarah was mentioning, you can see the progression as you go through the book of introducing more and more Spanish into the conversation. But by the time you're there, you're already there with that definition, with that word, how it's used in that context. It's not something that you have to go and look up. It's just become a part of it. That's the remarkable thing to me about the code switching process. that I had not known before, and believe it would be a great benefit to your system. Now, we need to ask you about 100 Days of Spanish. How did this come along? What is it? And I know you've completed the 100 days, but tell us about it, because anybody can start it from where they're at right now.
Of course, yes. So this is how it happened. I had a friend in Newcastle, Louise, and she messaged me and said, look, Ruth, I want to learn Spanish. You have a YouTube course. And so I said, oh, no, I don't. And then my brother, Ian, said to me, we're on lockdown. There's probably a lot of people who want to learn Spanish. You should do some videos. So I thought, well, let's call it 100 Days of Spanish, and it'll be a kind of reflection of 100 years of solitude, which is Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And so I thought that would be a nice title, not realizing exactly how long 100 days is. So I'm committed to make 100 videos in 100 days. And so I start at the very beginning. I think I do hablar is to speak, and blah, blah, blah. And the first, there are a lot of the videos very, very simple, just introducing maybe 1 or 2 words, but if I'm introducing 1 or 2 words in the same video, you're being exposed to 500-600 words, and 40% of them will be in Spanish. I don't know the numbers exactly.
Now I have one of your videos from 100 days. This is day number 5, and I just want to show a few moments of it, so you'll be able to hear it, and even though you may not be able to see it, I'm not sure right now, but you'll be able to hear it definitely. So I want everybody to grab onto this.
Buenos dias. Today you're going to be able to say, I want to go for a drink with you.
Okay, so we may not be able to hear the audio on that.
First you need the word for a drink.
But you definitely can hear, you can definitely see the flow of how she does this. It's very casual. She's drinking tea. She's talking to you about her plans, what she's going to teach you, and she also posts her notes from the day. So Ruth, tell us about your notes.
I used to teach in first school, and
every day when I did the video, I made a script. And then I tried to memorize it, and then just forgot it all and just did what I did. But then after, when I watched the video back, I would make notes as though I was a student. What would I want to remember from this video? So I made notes, and I tried to make them nice, but I'm sure other people can make them even nicer, maybe with some illustrations. So most of my notes have illustrations, un poco de color. And then I published them on a Facebook page, which was 100 Days of Spanish, until I had technical difficulties with that. But I got them on my website. I didn't have any trouble with my website, which is Spanglish Fantastico. .com. So you can get all of my notes on there, and I think they make a nice accompaniment to the course, because you can go back over. There's much more actually in the video than there is in the notes, but you don't need to remember everything. Just a little bit for the front part of your brain, and the video can take in all the back part can take in all the other stuff on the video.
Okay, and so in 100 days, what levels are you covering? Are you covering, intermediate topics, advanced topics? Where can someone start at with the 100 days, and where could they feasibly head toward in 100 days' time?
In 100 days, I would aim. I start with beginners. That's the first thing to say. I am the person to come to when you want to get started in Espanol. But I want you to make rapid progress. I want you to feel confident. I think confidence is like a magic feather, like the Dumbo has to help him fly. I think he was drunk as well. So confidence. So as we go through the videos, I'm hoping that every beginner starting from scratch will be able to understand really quite advanced Spanish by the end of it. Maybe not to be able to talk advanced Spanish, but to get that confidence that, oh, I can pretty much get quite a lot of Espanol when I'm listening in.
So you're talking about being able to start at about the A1 level,
yeah,
and move forward to like an A2 level.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We're starting with the people who turn up in class and say, I don't speak any Spanish. I've got gracias, sangria, por favor, and dos cervezas. And I said, okay, let's build on that.
Now you've got other videos as well. You have your Spanglish Fantastico videos.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us how they differ from the 100 Days of Spanish.
Well, I've got 3 series. So I've got my 100 Days. That's a complete series. It's nice, a little bit of input, a few stories, a bit of music. So rather like my book. And then I've got a new series, which is my Spanglish Fantastico videos. I'm doing a series of questions and answers. So it's the next level up. To explore a question, to give an answer. So consciously, you'll be able to ask and answer a question every video, and hopefully that will really build your conversational Spanish. That's what I'm aiming for, that you'll be able to speak Spanish. Not that you're going to be able to write like Miguel Cervantes, but that you're going to be able to conversar in Espanol. So that's what the new series is. And I've also got daily word builders. So that's a great way to start your Spanish learning day. They're just short, sometimes just a minute and a half, up to 3 minutes, 3 minutos, and they explore a different word every day from this book, which I'm so glad. I've got to say thank you so much. This is Dan's book, and I said to Dan, I would like to do some videos on the daily word builder section. So in this language learning journal, he's got a daily word, a word of the day, and there's a variation over 7 days. So it's exploring those. So I think they're another good series. I think really useful.
I'm quite amazed what you've done with the Daily Word Builder, because my concept with the Daily Word Builder was to start the week off with a root word, and then throughout the week introduce additional words before or after that root word to show that vocabulary can really grow from synonyms or words that once joined with another word that you already know, become powerful.
Like a big word web.
A word web is a perfect description for it. But you go into so much beneficial depth. Like recently, you did Samana, and you started talking about Seminole, and it just really bring it to life for me. I want to do a shout out, if I can, real quick, ladies, and I want to thank Barbara Land for a hack, for an idea. She took my book to a print shop, a Staples and office supply store, and they put it into a spiral bound. And I called up, and my local office supply store had a place where you could park, call them out to your car. They'll come out to your car in full PPE, and you tell them what you want. And an hour later, I came back, and now I've got my book totally spiral bound. I love it. I think that was a genius idea. Amazon, which prints my books, doesn't provide that feature, but for the cost of a croissant and a latte, I was able to get my book spiral bound. So I love that. But I'm serious when I say what you've done with the Daily Word Builder in your series has really brought that section to life. And I'm excited to see it. I'm glad that you're doing it. And I appreciate that you took that on. I want to go back to Sarah for a moment and ask her how the use of new vocabulary that you've either studied in another system or along with Ruth's courses, how that has benefited you now that you've kind of adopted the code switching format?
Well, very early on, when I was very first learning Spanish, I loved the Spanish with Paul YouTube sessions. And I would learn the vocabulary. I downloaded the course notes from that, had a look and thought, all right, I don't know what debería means, so I'll use that a little bit more. I store in his sentences. And then there may be sessions where now I've found Ruth, she's now using words that I think, oh, I remember that from Spanish with Paul. I wonder what it meant. I can't remember. I haven't used it again since. So I'm now using that. So it's almost like complementing what I knew and I hadn't remembered. It was somewhere in the grey matter. And it sort of brought it back forward again. And that repetition, even though I'd had a bit of a break from it, the repetition with Ruth is bringing all of those files in my head back out again.
Okay, Ruth, we've got some comments real quick. I want to jump on here, Sarah, about these comments. We've got some comments right now about some of Ruth's books. Now, when you go to Amazon and you search for Ruth Darby, you're going to find some books that say that they're out of print. But I want to talk about the ones that are available via Amazon. Now, if they're not available in the Amazon where you're at, let us know. But first, I've got on the screen right now Spanglish Fantastico. And it's available, looking at it right now, it's available on Kindle. And you can get it on Kindle for $7.35. Or if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for nothing. And the way that Kindle Unlimited works, by the way, is if you get the book, in order for Ruth to receive any benefit, funding benefit from it, you've got to read the book. You've got to go through the book. Because Amazon only pays for the percentage of the book that someone actually reads when they do the Kindle Unlimited. And then that money comes out of a big Kindle pot of funds for people who've paid into the Kindle Unlimited feature. But get the book on Kindle, Spanglish Fantastico, or in paperback. Now, I also, like I mentioned before, I have it in paperback. I'm a book person. I like being able to read something on my iPad, but I also like being able to write things into a book. But it's also available in paperback. And now, in addition to that,
I would like to say as well, if you're getting Spanglish Fantastico, in fact, if you're getting any of the books, please write to me. One of the things that I haven't got in the books is a really detailed contents. I think it really helps you if you're learning Espanol or learning anything to know what you're learning. So the contents I think are really, really useful. So if you write to me, and it's ruth@spanglishfantastico.com, then I'll send you detailed contents, which is like a little bonus feature, and then you can check. Can I do that? But each little chapter, and the chapters are just short, so it's only a page or two, maybe three, and you read through it, and by the end of it, you should have learned a little thing. And if you have this list, you can check off whether I can do that or not. Okay, and if you can't, then you can go back and just check how to do it. So do write to me, ruth@spanglishfantastico.com, if you get any ones of these books.
Okay, and also on Amazon, you will find Spanglish for your holiday. Take off with Spanglish. Now, as of last night, checking this as of last night, this is available in paperback. It's not available on Kindle yet. And it takes some work. It takes some work from the author to actually convert it over to Kindle. And it's not a straightforward process as you might think it is. But
This book is full of cartoons. It's
that's
full
the
of
thing.
images. And so to get a layout which would actually be legible on Kindle would take
It's
somebody with
muy difícil.
more skill than me.
Exactly, which is why my book isn't available as a Kindle either, because it's meant for you to fill in a lot of the sections. So this is available in paperback, and as you've seen, we're talking about a sizable volume there. It's a great book. That is available just in paperback. Now, also, I know available in paperback, because I have it, is the Jokes to Help You Learn Spanish. And and these books, I promise you, you'll be the hit of every party if you or 3 times the number of your points will be given back to you. Whatever points you want, I'll assign them to you. But seriously, that book is available in paperback. Now, is that book available in?
This is on Kindle as well. This is just a nice, easy read. It's on Kindle, slightly different layout in Kindle, but that's fine. I'm really proud of it. I think it's an easy read. I think the jokes are funny, but that's just my sense of humor.
They are funny. They are funny. But again, if you are looking up just Ruth Darby, you may find some books on Amazon. You will find books on Amazon that says that the book is not currently unavailable, and so please get with Ruth. I'm going to go back to her email address here. Her email address is ruth@spanglishfantastico.com, and she will help point you in the right direction of which of her books are available on Amazon. Now, folks, I'd like to ask you to do a favor for Ruth. She will not ask you to do this. And so I'm going to take the screen off of her because I know she's going to blush when I ask this. Can you do this for her? If you got her book, please go to Amazon and leave a review. And you will not believe how important the reviews are for people who don't know Ruth, who don't understand that what she's done on YouTube, and are trying to decide whether or not they should buy the book. Your review influences them, and even though I know we've had some issues with the sound on this broadcast, which again I'm learning as we go here, it'll get better every time, I promise you. If you will leave me a thumbs up, that will help us too. But Ruth also has a YouTube channel, and I want to encourage you, and here's her jokes book. It's available on Kindle. Ruth has a YouTube channel, and she has a website. Her YouTube channel is youtube.com/Spanglish Fantastico. And what I really want you to do is to go there sometime today and please subscribe to her channel. And as you watch a video, give it a like. To me, giving someone a like on the video doesn't mean, hey, every part of that video was perfect and I needed every moment of it. But if you learned something or got some information that you didn't know before, or you just want to show your support, please give a like on that. That influences YouTube to help share her videos with people who have never seen her videos before. And so it's a really important thing that you give people the likes up and that you subscribe to their channel. It just promotes the thing along. So Ruth has done so much for us as learners that she's got a lot on her channel. And once people find her channel, she's got so much volume on there that they're going to be busy for a long time trying to watch it all. Agreed, Sarah?
Absolutely.
Absolutely agreed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's right. So let's go over real quick to the chat section, and let's take some questions from the people in the chat. And Phil, thank you very much for that comment that you're committing to provide a great review on Amazon as soon as possible. Thank you very, very, very much for that. And I will post in my description for this video all of Ruth's books that I know where they're at on Amazon, and provide you links for that. Those books, I believe, are also on the Spanglish Fantastico YouTube with links on it as well. And I would prefer that you would follow the links from Ruth's page for that. But if you have a question from our chatting group for Ruth specifically about anything, this is your chance. This is the place where you need to send it to us, okay? Jamie's wrote, Ruth's YouTube channel is wonderful. It's been a great help to me. Thank you very much, Jamie, and appreciate that support for Ruth.
I've got a question. Somebody's asked me about the dinosaur. The dinosaur, he was just in the background. He was one of the toys from people being younger, and he was in the background. And I just noticed he was in the background when I was down in the conservatory until the world started waking up again, and I had to come up here because it started getting too noisy. But I thought, well, I'll bring him because he's given me good luck. I've been happy with the work that I've done when he's been with me, so I thought I'll keep him with me. A little bit of compagnia.
To me, it was always as I watched your videos, one of the first things I want to know is where did the dinosaur move overnight, and that was always a funny thing to see. I wonder why she has this dinosaur. Is she deliberately moving that? You know, did she do that on purpose?
No, I don't move him. So any movement's him.
Okay, so I'm looking for some questions coming in from our group here. If you have a question, throw it up. We're going to definitely get to it. But Ruth, are you interested in having some fun here? Because if you are,
now that's making me nervous. Dan, what have you got in mind?
Okay, so we have a game that we like to play called 60 Seconds. Now, last week, I hope this works. Last week we had I prepared a new video with some new voices, and I didn't load up the correct video, and I had the old video. So for all of you that provided me your voices and were wondering, hey Dan, where'd my voice go? It is in this one. I'm just crossing my fingers, hoping that the audio comes through on this. So, but we're going to play a game called 60 Seconds.
And I am Raina Scott.
And of course,
and I'm Andy
the
Hughes.
sound is not coming through. I hope you can hear it
Dan
on
Klingspon.
this. But in our 60 seconds thing here, we are going to be asking you a series of rapid fire questions that you have to answer within 60 seconds. Please don't think of your answers beforehand. Please don't try to delay. The first thing that comes to your mind, we want you to answer it, okay? And you get 1 point for every question that you answer correctly. You get 1 point, and for every question you answer incorrectly, you get minus a point. Okay, all right. And Sarah is going to start us off with the first question. And Sarah, just take it away.
Name a Spanish-speaking country that you would like to visit that you haven't already.
Oh, Costa Rica.
Great. What time is tea time for you?
Las 6.
Okay. Northern Spain or southern Spain?
Southern Spain.
Car or train?
Train, por favor.
Okay. Shuttle or ferry?
Ferry.
Ferry. Your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Okay. If you could be any animal, what animal would it be and why?
It'd be one of my chickens because I'm really nice to them.
Okay. Okay. Give us something from your bucket list that you haven't done yet.
Oh,
here she goes.
Oh, now I'm going to get points deducted, aren't I?
Your favorite cartoon character?
Britain. I would like to walk the Santiago de Compostela, the Camino de Santiago.
Okay. What would you do for fun on Mars?
On Mars? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to go to Mars, por favor. Throw something.
What celebrity annoys you the most?
Kim Kardashian.
Oh. Give us a Spanish word. Name me a Spanish word that you don't like.
Oh, mujer.
Mujer. You don't like that word. Okay.
Mujer.
All right, I like that so much. I'm going to ask you a second one. Give me a second Spanish word you don't like.
Monja. It means nun. Monja.
Okay, climb a mountain or jump from a plane.
Jump from a plane.
Okay, imagine you live in an American city. Now I want you to say a sentence in a perfect American accent. Anything you want to say.
Can I get a bagel, please?
I take full offense to that. My offense is now triggered. Okay.
None with that.
Give us the name of the last book that you've read.
Oh, I read a book about, what was it called? Buffalo Before Breakfast. Something like that.
Sarah, give me a question.
Favorite Spanish singer and why?
I like Joaquin Sabina because his lyrics are beautiful.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how relaxed are you really when filming your YouTube sessions?
I'm really relaxed. I really enjoy it. Yeah, but I often have several takes. You know, when I look back at the video and find that I had something on my face and gotta do it again.
That's
I'm
great.
I'm looking for that now.
I am too. That's exactly right. Now, if we're gonna put them in the comments. You know, minute 3, second 6. What is that on her nose? Okay. All right. Finally, here it comes. The last question. We want you to name 2 true things about yourself and 1 false thing, but don't tell us what is true and what's false. And everyone in the comments has to write down what they think the false thing is. So 2 true things, 1 false thing.
Okay. I'm not very good at reading. I'm quite good at gardening, and I'm quite good at running.
At running. Okay. All right. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition back over here to this hard worked for video, because thanks to one of our great folks, they said that they could hear it, because I want everybody to hear who's cooperated with me on this video.
Hall. And I am Raina Scott.
And I'm Andy Hughes.
Soy Dina Marie Perez.
Soy Dan Klingspan.
And I'm Barb Putnam.
And this is 60 Seconds. Okay, so thank you very much, each and every person there who gave us, shared with us your voice for the video. Now, I want you to write down, into the chat, which one is false of the answers that she gave us, and which of the answers were true. So please, we're seeing some answers roll in right now. We're going to let a few more people answer before we ask you what are the true ones. But let me go back, and I want to ask you a question. What is wrong with the word esposas?
Again, it's not fair. Esposas. Esposo means husband.
Right.
Esposas means wives. Okay? So
no, it doesn't. It doesn't mean wives. It means handcuffs.
It means handcuffs. How is that fair? It's like calling a woman ball and chain, isn't it?
I don't.
Now,
can you do the etymology on that for us someday, and maybe a video, and tell us how they associated the word handcuff with esposas? I mean, and why esposo is, I mean, it's just really interesting to me why that it means the 2 things. Like you said, it means handcuffs and it means a wife, or wives.
But I love looking at the history of words, so I'll have a little look at that. I really enjoy researching where words came from.
Okay, so I want to ask you some questions about making errors while we're coming up on the last few. We've got a few more people that are answering on the thing. We're going to get to the answer on that. But making errors. When we make errors, let me switch this over. I've got this locked in on this 60 seconds one. Let me move it over here. When people make errors,
well, what's an error, first of all?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Surely, if you're conveying your message, then your language is succeeding. I think that we learn best when we're in a low stress environment, 0 stress at best. So if you're just getting your idea across, then you're using your Spanish. When you're studying, when you're with your books, alone with your books, doing the grammar exercises on studyspanish.com, that's the place to think about errors. But when you get to speaking, when you get to using language for communication, there aren't any others.
I like that. Thank you so much for that. And, you and I have had a lot of conversations about what you're doing and your method and where you would like to see some of your efforts go, and how to involve more Spanish teachers into this concept of code switching. And I can tell you,
it's just to give permission to people to use the language that they have and to build confidence. Because when we're telling people, if teachers are telling people off for the way that they're using Spanish, some of those people are going to go into their shells and go, okay, I'm done. We don't want that. We want people to succeed. So I would steer away from errors and just make Spanish something that people can understand. Use code switching.
Well, I am glad that you and Sarah have had a chance to meet together and to see one another in this, through this meeting. I hope it kind of cements the student and teacher relationship in a friend and friend relationship as well. That's the thing.
From Sarah Felice and from so many other people, from John Adam, from Phil Hodgson.
Yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
so much really, really positive support from so many people.
Yes.
And it's really, really nice to meet Sarah Felice.
It's lovely to see you, and thank you so much for being so motivating. I'm so engaged with what I'm doing, from both of you actually, so thank you.
Well, here is the answer that everybody has said. I don't think there's any exception to this, and it's because you have a tell, so we know who we're going to play poker with here. The answer the group has said, and the group is right. The groups are always right. That's the thing. The group says running is false.
I'm horrible at running. In fact, I'm not very good at reading or gardening either.
But you're worse at running. All right. It's because you did the shiver. It was a shiver. You actually had a shiver along with it when you said the word run.
A bit.
Okay.
Around the block involves my feet not leaving the floor. There was one other thing that I said that I would say on my channel. I said I would say what course I did to learn Spanish, what course I took when I was in Lima. And it was a course insane, a course paragliding. It took me 5 months to take off. I'm really, really bad at paragliding, but I learned loads of Spanish.
Wow. So I would like to ask you to consider in a few months coming back and let's talk about where your channel is going and what you're doing. And I think this opportunity to bring in Sarah here has, I think, revealed an ingredient that will make our interviews more rich in the future. And so, Sarah, thank you so much for being such a great sport and joining us. We love your view. Please send us a picture of that. We can post that on our group. That would be wonderful. And thank you so much, both of you, for taking time out of your day. Ruth, I'm looking forward to seeing where you go with your material, and where I think you're on the edge of a breakout, and I believe as people find you, there's going to be a viral moment for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back here. Thank you, everybody who has borne with us through the interview. Thank you, my friends, and we're looking forward to having you back. Ruth, you get the final word. You get to say the final thing.
Thank you to everybody who supported me, and thank you for all the kind comments on the chat. It's been lovely here. It's been lovely being here, and thank you, Dan, for having me, and thank you so much as well to Sarah Felice for joining us from España. Muchas gracias to everybody.
Okay, us all together say hasta pronto.
Hasta pronto.
Hasta pronto. See everybody soon. Okay, ladies, thank you so much.